I think carrying beyond boundaries can mean a lot of things. Sometimes it can mean just doing something small for somebody you care about. But for me, it's all about cooking and feeding other people. Hi everyone, my name is Christopher Seal. I'm the winner of MasterChef Canada Season 7, and today I'll be sharing my favorite cheesecake recipe with everyone. My dad used to make me cheesecakes when I was younger for my birthdays, and I remember that feeling of joy and happiness, which is what really inspired me to go into baking. For today's cheesecake recipe, we'll only need a few pieces of equipment and just a couple of ingredients. We'll be using a blender or any mixer if you have one at home. If you don't, we can also whisk it. We'll be using a pot or a pan. We'll be using a whisk and a spatula. You'll need one springform pan or an 8-inch cake ring to bake your cheesecake in. We'll be using eggs, sugar, vanilla bean extract. This one I'm using is from a Tahitian, but you can definitely use any variety you want, or if you have vanilla beans, it's even better. We'll have flour, cornstarch, mascarpone cheese, milk, cream, and finally, cream cheese. We're gonna start by cracking our eggs and whisking them first. So we'll be using 5 large eggs today. So once your eggs are whisked up, make sure that they're not too foamy. We don't want to over whip them, because for our cheesecake, we actually want a smooth and dense texture. Next, we'll be adding together the first of our ingredients. We'll be using the cream. We'll be using about 1.5 cups of milk. We'll be using about 2 tablespoons of flour, about 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, and finally, about 1/2 cup of sugar. So we'll just be mixing all these ingredients together until you have no more lumps. Then we'll be cooking it on the stove just until it starts to thicken up. So now we're going to cook our milk and cream mixture. So we're going to first cook it on about a medium-high heat until it becomes thick. Once it's become thick, we're going to drop our heat to low, and we're actually going to stir in our eggs just to cook them slightly. We just want to bring the milk and cream up to temperature. So it'll need to be about 80 degrees to 85 degrees before the cornstarch and flour starts thickening. Once it's thickened, we're going to reduce it to low heat and then add our eggs. As the mixture starts to thicken, you want to start stirring a little bit more frequently, and make sure that when you stir, you're really getting the corners. You can see the milk is starting to get hot because we're getting some foam on the sides. You want to keep a close eye on your mixture, because once it starts to thicken, it'll thicken very rapidly. So now I can start to see that it's starting to get thick because the foam has disappeared from the top of my cream and milk mixture, and I can start feeling it as I'm mixing it. So at this point, it should look nice and thick and creamy. And on low heat, we're going to be adding our eggs. So as I add the eggs, I'm going to just add them a little bit at a time while stirring. I don't want to curdle my eggs or overcook them. For about 10 to 20 seconds, we just want to half cook our eggs, but we don't want to cook them fully. You'll notice that the eggs will actually make this a little bit thicker because they're going to cook a little, and at this point, we've basically made our curd. So now that you've finished cooking your egg and cream mixture, you'll notice that it's gotten a lot thicker. Don't worry if it's a little bit lumpy, that's what the blender is for. We're going to be blending it together and you'll have this beautifully smooth cheesecake batter after. So we're going to be starting by putting our egg mixture into our blender. So we'll be adding the rest of our ingredients now. So for today, I've chosen a mascarpone cheese, cream cheese, and a vanilla bean paste. Finally, our vanilla bean paste. So the better vanilla you use, the better your cheesecake will turn out, because the vanilla is going to be your major flavoring component for this cake. So we want to blend our mixture for about 30 seconds or until you get this nice smooth and creamy texture. You shouldn't be able to see any lumps in it, and it should be nice and smooth. At this point, we're ready to pour it into our cake pan. You just want to smooth your batter off lightly just to make sure that there are no lumps and the top looks nice and smooth. So before baking this cheesecake, we will put it in the fridge just for a couple of hours until it chills off. It's better to let this cake chill off before baking it, and that way you'll have a nice smooth center. And the cheesecake looks like it's just about ready. So now that we've finished chilling the cake, we're gonna bake it at 375 degrees Fahrenheit on convection for 40 minutes. If you don't have convection at home, you can also use 400 degrees. So don't get me wrong, you need to refrigerate this cheesecake after you bake it at least overnight so it takes on the right texture. Afterwards, you'll get this beautiful, creamy, smooth texture. So that's it. That's how we make our beautiful Basque style cheesecake, my version. So you can see how smooth and creamy it is with a beautiful caramelized layer on top.